us what you do to, provoke someone's brilliance. So you're poking them with a hot stick or what? What are you doing?
Pretty much, yeah. You've been to one of my workshops. No, actually, it's really, the trick comes down to aligning what I call the 3 A's: awareness, action, and accountability. So if they have the awareness of what they've just learned or what they've become exposed to, and then you tie an action to that, in other words, get them to commit to doing something, and then build some accountability on the back end, people will start to do the things they need to do. They'll make the movement that they need to make. And so the provoking part is really not settling and not letting the client settle, because a lot of times people will say, well, it's just too tough, or I had this come up, or there's full of excuses. And as you know, any excuse will do if you're not committed. You're either interested in doing something or you're committed. And the difference is, if you're committed, you'll do what you have to do when you have to do it. If you're interested, you'll do it when it's convenient. And so what I think a lot of coaches look for is somebody that's really willing to do what it takes to get success before they take them on as a client. So when I work with the people that I work with, I do a lot of screening beforehand to make sure that this person is really serious about it. Because I don't want somebody that's just interested in it, and then if it doesn't work, because then they're a walking billboard of either my success as a coach or my failure as a coach.
What is what area does the client work in that's a good client for you? I know you want someone who's coachable and really going to work hard, but are you looking for clients that are in certain businesses, or any business is fine?
Well, it's any small service business. I come from the financial planning background, so a lot of my clients are people that are either stockbrokers, insurance agents, financial planners, CPAs, estate planning attorneys. But I also have other companies. One of the companies that I have is a plumbing company. And it's this guy's amazing to me, because he's one of those people that gets it, that you don't work in the business, you need to work on the business. So he hasn't picked up a plunger in years. He's hired a bunch of people and has a bunch of trucks running out there on his behalf.
Wow. And then when you watch people's growth, that has to be completely satisfying for you. I mean, even though they're asking for your coaching, you get to see that happen.
Well, it's a real gift. I'm blessed to live one great life, and it's just helping other people get what they want, and really allowing themselves to give themselves the permission to live the way they wanted to when they were little, and then something happened between, diapers and getting our business cards printed. We started to kind of conform. So part of it is like waking people up. It's an awakening, getting them back to being the kid that they want, and not having to put on the mask, the corporate mask or the business mask. You can have a lot of fun. I mean, underneath the tie there's a crystal, and if this was a weekend, I'd be in Birkenstocks and cutoffs. I normally don't wear this.
You wore the suit for me, and I appreciate that. I completely appreciate that. Now, everybody, we've talked about mentorship and what it means. Tell us about some of the mentors you've had in your life. I know Don mentored you for your book, but maybe when you were younger, what's the mentorship experience been for you?
Well, one of my greatest mentors was a gentleman who was the father of my best friend in high school. And I was kind of one of those guys. I did okay in high school, but nothing special. And I was actually going to just kind of work at the service station after I graduated and not really go on to college. I didn't have that kind of ambition. And my friend's dad basically said, that's not an option. And we actually stayed up, I can remember mornings till like 2, 3 in the morning, him talking to me about, what I need to do and how I need to be thinking about things and what's really possible. And this was a guy that retired at 45 from the financial services industry. That's how I got into financial services, was through him. And then that led to just different speaking engagements, because I always kind of rose to the top, and whether it was production or management or things of that nature. And it just, people want to hear from you, so I was speaking to those areas, and it just kept perpetuating. And now I have a chance to give back in the form of coaching and authoring and speaking. So
a mentor doesn't have to be famous.
I don't think a mentor has to be famous. I think it can be, anybody. It can be somebody just. A lot of times, I'll give you a perfect example. I was on the plane coming back last week, and you know how you sit in the back seat and you're doing your typing, and the guy decides to recline, and you're afraid you're going to crush your computer. I'm like, oh. And at the time, I'm like, okay, enough, and the guy finally moves his seat up, and there was a break, and he walks back and he says, "Hey, I'm really, really sorry. You know, I'm totally sensitive to the fact that I was backing up on your computer." And I thought to myself, just that act of kindness, I've got to remember, you know, to just not always think it, but say it. And a lot of times, you know, we think good thoughts or we have good intentions, but we don't say it. And this guy actually said it, you know, and that made an impact in my life. So that guy, I don't even know his name, but that was a mentorship to me. So you're either mentoring or tormenting, you know. So,
that's good. Right? Mentoring or tormenting.
So, you know, it's just, that's the way for me to provoke brilliance, is to mentor people, to show them a way, to let them see that they can live the life they want.
That's really good. Now, you had someone encourage you to go ahead and go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And in California, I know we're having a crisis. There are a lot of kids that are wanting to go to college, but just honestly don't see it as an option. What would you say to them?
I'd say see it a different way. And not to be callous, but one of the things that, you know, we bring in the law of attraction, and there's a saying that whatever we say to ourselves before we look at something determines what we see. So if we see that it's tough, and we see that we're not deserving, or we see that, we make up all the stuff in the environment to support that. So I would say just simply change your perspective. We may not always have the ability to control the circumstances, the situation that we find ourselves in, but we always have the power to choose the most healthy perspective from which to look at what's going on. So I think just if you don't see what you want, find another angle.
Okay. We're almost out of time, but speak to my audience and tell them what the message you would like to really share with them.
Boy, there's so much, but I think the one thing is it's really up to us to make up what we want to have happen in this life. And so if you're going to make it up, because we're making it up anyway, is make it up, make it fun, and make it happen.
Very good. Thank you so much for being a part of the
Thank you.
show. Thank you, Don, for helping to co-host. And thank you guys for watching. Remember, you can be a mentor or tormenting someone. And ignoring one's conscience is neither safe nor right. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.